here.
Hi guys! We are live from Malibu, California. Thank you for tuning in.
Hi.
I got Patti Penn here. Patti Penn is the Reiki master,
Yes.
EFT practitioner from Heal. You might remember her. You haven't seen Heal. What are you doing? Go get the movie. So we're just waiting for some people to come on.
Yeah.
Hi, Carlene.
Hi, Carlene.
Woo. Vanessa, hi.
Hi, Vanessa.
So today we're just going to talk, we're going to continue the conversation. We saw Patti do some amazing work in the film with Eva. And so I kind of just want to ask her, what's going on as she's doing the work and more about her healing intuition and ability to help people transform and move beyond their story.
Yeah.
So should we get going?
Yes, let's get going.
Let's get going. Okay, so you are a Reiki master. You teach people Reiki.
Yes.
And you've done Reiki on me, and it's like kind of like you go to another realm. You just kind of drop out of that mind and feel that deep relaxation. So can you explain to me what Reiki is and explain to everyone out there what Reiki is?
Yeah, that's a difficult one because it's spiritual conscious energy and they're still trying to find consciousness. So spiritual conscious energy and kind of life force, the human life force combined. So it's those moments where we know what we need to do to keep our wellness and our well-being, from our food to our emotions to our mind, our thoughts, but also what we need to connect to, because sometimes it's there's nothing that we need to try or do. It's something about surrendering and allowing, just like in the documentary, it's about healing, right? Allowing us to receive, allowing us to let go. And, because sometimes there's not enough talking and EFT or anything to get to the root of something. Sometimes it's surrender and release.
Yes.
So that's when spiritual conscious energy kind of comes in, because even when we're doing a treatment, students are doing a treatment on themselves or someone else, it's for a person's highest good. You don't know what that person's highest good is. So allowing what the energy needs to do for them to have an epiphany, for them to go really deep, to realize that I need to leave my job. I need to go across the country. I never really liked it here in the city, or whatever it is. It gives people the empowerment, the awareness, the clarity to make decisions. And that space between the mind chatter.
Yes. Just want to say hi, Taiwo, and hi, Sherry. Thank you for joining in. So I feel like for me that what's coming up often is this whole thing of resistance and as you talk about the spiritual conscious energy trying to come through, but when we are resisting either something that's going on in our lives or feelings that we have that we feel we shouldn't have, whether it's jealousy, anger, shame, anything to do with sexuality, like a lot of us kind of resist, suppress, repress, and it takes so much energy from us because that divine conscious energy that's trying to flow through us, life energy, life force, vitality, chi, whatever you want to call it. If we're resisting that or pushing it down, that takes energy from us. And eventually we burn out our adrenals and we, find ourselves with chronic fatigue or whatever is going on.
Yeah.
So is that, are you essentially helping people? It's hard for us to let go, right? Not all of us are equipped with how to really express or release or let go of emotions in a healthy way. We're just never taught that. There's no, human owner's manual. So are you facilitating people and allowing them to let go? Like what are you doing?
There's a few things. When people come to me, they have already subconsciously signed up that they are going to let go. Or they wouldn't find me. They go around other people that they can delay the letting go.
Yes. Resist.
And we're very good at it. I remember when I had to do yoga teacher training and I knew exactly who I needed to do it with, and I went round, I don't know, 4 studios over a space of 4 months to delay who I needed to do it with.
Yeah.
That I knew. So I think we always know what we need to do. It's the doing. And that's the surrender. And sometimes people need to get to a space where they give up, doing it, or they become ill, or they become sick of their own story, or they could become sick of their own circumstances, or they become sick of not having what they know they're here to do. And it should be easier than this because they've seen other people do it, or they have been reading books that have inspired them, and they then start to ask the questions of what is it that I need to, the step before that is admittance.
Oh.
Is when you admit that you need to let go.
Make some changes.
Yes, and admittance is I think about a few years ago, I learned that admittance, even in engineering on a device, is the flow around a device of the circuitry. So when we don't admit that we need help, humans are extreme. When I used to do equine therapy, people that would not admit that they didn't know how to lift the hoof. And you would just leave them there and come back 20 minutes later and they were like, well, it didn't lift its leg. And we'll just ask for help. So when we don't admit that we need help, when we don't admit that we are, as you said earlier, jealous, fearful, rageful, annoyed, irritated. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes around saying, I'm not bothered that I didn't get invited, or I don't really care. I don't care that they haven't, called me, or I don't care what chugging down, a bottle of wine, denying it. It's and then as friends we sit there and you don't sometimes realize, or people don't realize, is the number one thing I teach at level 1. When people are telling you that they don't care and they're not bothered, they're actually identifying what they do, what has got to them.
The fact that they're even aware that there's something to care about.
Picking that out of thin air. But when you have a friend that's not going to chastise you and judge you about that and say, listen, it has bothered you. It's okay that it's bothered you. Just, don't act upon it, but let yourself, know that that's bothered you, because that's self-love. Knowing that you're hurt, or you're disappointed in that person, or you thought it was going to go a different way, or you put a lot of effort into the friendship, and, whatever it is, but don't pretend and deny that it isn't, that you're tougher than you are. Yeah, I have a lot of tough cookies that come and see me. They walk through that door like, oh yeah, I'm just here, and I'm really tough, and I've done this for 20 years, or I've had this story for 20 years, and I'm like, well, what about this? And they're like, because they knew that they wanted to, the subconscious is like, okay, we need to let this go now.
Or they're, been studying spiritual practices, and, they feel that they're so advanced that they can't feel these negative feelings. Like, I'm so spiritually advanced that these negative feelings they're not me. So they deny them, or they don't feel them. Well, and when I say I've done this before, where I'm like,
well, it's fake positivity.
Exactly.
And that is cheating yourself of something that you may need to choose differently. If you use fake positivity to say that I'm not hurt, then you're not, choosing something different, or saying, what is it that I need to change in my life? What is it I need to add into my life? Or I didn't really realize that I needed friends that were more engaging, or more, or I needed a job that was more conscious, or, these are when we don't deny it, because that's a shift. But when we're going around pretending that this isn't something that it's needed, because we don't want to seem needy, it's cheating ourselves of who we really are.
I really feel like we need tools to learn how to be okay with feeling negative emotion, or just feeling and experiencing and allowing ourselves to feel it, and then allowing, because the big problem is dis-ease starts when we are denying, when we are resisting, when we are suppressing, when we are repressing. And then eventually it comes out in the physical. It disrupts the energetic system, which then disrupts the physical system.
Yes.
So talk to us now about EFT. Like, so you get a tough cookie in there. I mean, we saw it with Eva. You know, you said, oh, I don't know if she's ready.
Yes, because, you know, the emails and that we had sent beforehand, I always have people send me emails, because if they're not going to go there in the email, you know, the subconscious is already in protection mode. And Eva, I kind of felt she was going to go there, because my intention that morning was she's going to go there, and every single person that watches it is going to go there with her. So go Eva. She went there,
we all did.
And everybody has spoken to me, has said that they watch it 3 or 4 times so that they can get the release.
It's so cathartic
from
to see
where she goes to.
Yeah.
It's called sympathetic resonance. You get it in the movies, when you go to the movies, and you're like,
and everyone was thankful in the audience. They're having a reaction and relating it to their own personal story. But you know, Eva was the strong one that that went through, you know, the fire
and
for all of us.
That's what we started with when we actually, because I had also done a Reiki treatment on Eva during that session, but yeah, obviously they had an 1 and 3/4 movie that they needed to cut, so we
cut the Reiki.
Cut that. But with Eva, she was going there, and when she first sat down, and she was fine, she was very calm, but I said, let's just do fear of the unknown, of what's going to come up. And I'm so because that was just a precursor before we actually got to the tapping of what we went with her mother. And that is actually universal. So when people are really frightened, and that's why you have to, when you choose your healers and you choose your practitioners that you work with, you're only going to go as far as this person is comfortable taking you. So I'm really comfortable going right in there to the rage. I'm really comfortable going in there to the anger and the resentment and the jealousy and the disappointment, because it's raw, it's authentic, it's real. It doesn't, scare me, and it's not, it's a momentary feeling that you've had, and that doesn't define you as a person. So that's what a safe place is. That's what intimacy is, where you can be who you really are without being judged.
And that's the whole thing that's coming up for me lately, is once we become okay with our own humanity.
Yes.
I mean, we can all have the deepest, darkest, craziest thoughts that, may or may not be our own. We could catch them out of the ethers, or, the negative energy was in the room right before we got in here. Who knows where our thoughts come from sometimes. Or passed down from old family shit, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But for us to be uncomfortable with that and not okay with that, and just want to, drink it away or suppress it or smoke a cigarette or whatever it is, that's those thoughts, those feelings are then being put into our cells, I think the work, whether, and there's so many different ways that you can access the work.
So many.
Is to
just choose one.
Learn to accept our own humanity, so that then we can accept others. But it starts with us. It starts with really being okay with however we're feeling, whether it's sadness, rage, jealousy, and then start to become the observer and go, that's interesting. Well, I wonder why I feel that way. Why is she making me feel less than? Why is he bringing out this rage in me, on whatever news channel you watch.
And that's what, when you become more aware and you go on your spiritual journey, you actually find it really interesting to be the witness, to be your own witness, to be like, ooh, that really activated me, or that really brought something up. It triggered something. Oh, good, there's something to work on. So you actually start to go looking for it voluntarily. Yeah. And that's what my teachings are about. Let's not wait till life, because life will actually squeeze you to look at the things that you want. We're in such a fantastic system that so I've been told by people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s that it doesn't go away, it waits, whatever it is. The scary clown, because that was the story of it, right? It knew what your deepest fears were. And rather than waiting for the scary clown in life or for patterns to happen or things to make you react, you actually voluntarily, you go and self-inquire.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that I need to look at that is not allowing me to live my joy? Because, and that's always a bone of contention with me, because if you keep also looking at, that's why it's called Pause and Joy that I do, because if you keep always looking for things to fix,
mm-hmm.
It's never ending.
Yeah.
Let's go down the rabbit hole of everything to fix in yourself. So that's always a secondary thing for me. Primarily it is, what are you here, what joy are you here to bring, that you're so frightened to bring it forward because you're frightened of being judged. You're frightened of people not liking you. You had an experience when you were 12 when you decided to, direct the school play and you lost all your friends.
Yikes.
Or you decided to do something and everybody thought that you thought you were better than them, and you decided to put a cap on that. So because everybody's here to bring forward their joy, but it's getting rid of the social programs, the cultural programs that tells you that you don't deserve it, that you're not enough. And who do you think you are? They're the three main ones that run around in the collective.
Say them one more time.
Who do you think you are? You're not enough and you don't deserve it.
Oof. Yeah, those are good.
Yes. I don't deserve it and I'm not enough, but I'm going to take it anyway. Start with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so to become this person that seeks out, starts to become aware of being triggered and starts to become aware of, I feel like there's a certain element where you have to have a perception of life that we do live in this intelligent, mm-hmm. perfect system where if you're not going to learn the lesson that life, God, consciousness, whatever you want to mm-hmm. call it, is trying to push you gently towards at first, so that you mm-hmm. can evolve towards your highest self. If you keep resisting or denying because it's uncomfortable, whatever, then that gentle push is going to become a smack over in the back of the head. And then if you continue to deny it or suppress it or numb it, then that smack in the head becomes a punch in the face, and then you find yourself
hitting the wall at 100
miles an hour. So, so how are you seeing that more, where people are waking up from that victimhood, that victim mentality, where we're like, oh, it's all circumstances that are the cause of my emotions? Or is it, are more people waking up to the fact that, oh, actually I have some sort of control or choice in how to respond to life?
That's the human journey, isn't it? This awareness. Everything for me is awareness and unawareness. It's you weren't aware that you had these gifts, or you weren't aware that you were already given permission by being born to, bring forward whatever it is that you're here to bring forward. Everybody's got, I can't remember, I think it was a Sufi that said it. He said, the last place you would look for your hidden treasures is inside yourself. And everybody's looking outside. And when we give ourselves permission to go forward in our life and be authentic, and that's including your family. It's really easy to be authentic with your friends, but when you, and I come from Glasgow. So when I go back to Glasgow, I don't change and say what I'm not doing. I don't pretend that I'm not in this world. And my mother used to say to me, oh, you're not going to post all of that on Facebook, are you? And I'm like, yes, I am, because I'm not editing myself because maybe someone doesn't get it. Because then I'm living a lie. I'm censoring myself of my beliefs. And now, my dad's going down the park and saying, have you seen that heel? You should watch heel. And people are like, they're watching it and they're having a shift, and some people are saying, oh, I already knew that, but it's just reinforced it. And but also it reinforces it to not allow the stress in your life that you put up with. And a lot of stress sometimes can be family stress.
Yes.
That's, oh, well, Auntie Mary won't get it, Auntie whatever, if I say that. Or, you don't have to be rude or cruel to be able to be authentic, but you also have to allow yourself to listen to what you need. And if you can meet somebody else's need, well, this is nonviolent communication. If you can meet somebody else's need, you meet it. And if not, you have to tell them you can't.
Yes.
And then everybody's clean and clear. But people have this ambiguity around language.
Yes.
Because I don't want people to think that I don't want to do it, but you don't want to do it. So just tell them you don't want to do it.
It's a lot easier.
A lot easier. Or this happens. And it's
it's all awareness too. It's like, you know, once you become aware of how stress physically affects your body, then you can start to become aware of, oh, okay, what is causing me stress? And can I do anything about it? In this job that I'm in, that I go in, it's a very stressful environment. I have a stomach knot on my way to work.
Yeah.
I fear what my boss is going to say, or, you know, I don't like the environment. Is that you start to become aware and go, okay, I have two choices. I can change the way I think about that environment, or I relate to my job, or I can say this job is no longer serving me, and I make the courageous decision to move. But until you become aware of the fact that you have a choice, you can either change your thoughts and the meaning you put towards it, and thereby changing the energy of your environment, or you can become aware that maybe this is not to your highest calling, and you make a better, higher choice.
Yes.
Both, you know, can be challenging, but otherwise you're just on that hamster wheel of stress. So it's awareness.
Well, and it also depends on a person's, what their programs are growing up, you know, because if they're at this job and it's an amazing job, but they're like, well, I'm not going to get something better than this. So they stay with the toxic boss that could be their father. And I know how to deal with my father because I grew up with an alcoholic father. My father's not an alcoholic, but you know, you know that I grew up with an alcoholic father, so I'm used to having a bully as a boss. I know how to deal with a bully, but it doesn't make it right. There's the tough cookie again. You know, I can put up with this. I can, and then again, sometimes use the fake positivity rather than knowing that is there something else that's possible that's out there for me that I'm not seeing? You know, when we admit that it comes back around again, when we admit that possibly there's another possibility that I can choose something different, and then you become aware that that may actually reveal itself. You know, you hear about someone else getting a job, you know, that they changed to this, and you're like, oh, I quite fancy that. So once you start to ask the questions and become aware that there's something else, then it starts to come into your realm.
And I'm like, I don't know if it's, you know, all the books I've read, or I just have this new outlook of life, like anything is possible.
Yes.
And we are here. We're not here to suffer. We're not, you know, and there's, you know, different stories and different journeys, and for whatever the reason, karma or destiny or whatever, your soul's evolution. This is a different conversation, but I don't believe that we come into existence to suffer. I believe that there's so much is possible, right? So you can always, if you're sick, it means that something is out of balance. You're in an environment that doesn't serve you, whether it's physical toxicity or emotional toxicity. You know, there's these are all kind of wake up calls. If you're stressed out at a job, it's either, you know, we're not supposed to suffer. Anything is possible. There is that, like, what is calling you in your heart.
Yes. But there's also an uncomfortability with that as well, because some people, you know, just recently, Sophia said to me, you know, I'm happy when I'm miserable, and I'm miserable when I'm happy. Oh my goodness, I just realized that.
Oh.
So when people have a set point that everybody's like, whoa. I know it was huge for her to have that realization that she actually was quite happy when she was quite miserable.
What?
And miserable when she was happy. So how do you know that that's your set point if you don't inquire? Because you've made it normal. You've made it normal to be suffering. You've made it normal to, you know, just go into work and, you know, it pays my wage, you know, pays my rent, and, you know, joy and happiness. And
so you think you can find joy in mediocrity and miserable?
I think that people don't realize that they have that as a set point to begin with.
Okay.
That they go into these jobs not realizing, or in life not realizing that they're there to enjoy themselves. You came here to enjoy yourself. You didn't build, you know, every organ simultaneously in an environment and a central nervous system and a gland system to come all of this way to then, you know, be miserable.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But then what happens is we get these patterns and we get these inherited beliefs that are imposed upon the child. And then the child grows up thinking that, oh, I am my circumstances.
Yes.
Because how does one person get out the projects and one person doesn't get out the projects? Because it's to do with, you know, he didn't or she didn't believe that they were their circumstances. But those beliefs and those inherited beliefs can be very, very intoxicating and powerful.
And then our set point, we're really adaptable, resilient beings, right? So we could be, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Should we, I feel like that's a rabbit hole that we could go down. I feel like, you know, a lot of people have commented about how, you know, watching you and Eva's scene in the film really helped them uncover and release, or at least bring to the surface, you know, 40 years of suppressed emotion. And so I think it, you know, it was such a beautiful scene to watch. Everybody asks, you know, how is Eva doing now? I know you've been working with her recently, and I'm sure you've talked about what she's comfortable sharing or not sharing, but do you want to give people a little bit of insight to what her journey is looking like? We
did a Q&A, the first Q&A up in Santa Clarita last month, and you know, she's not a reality star. she's a civilian. She's you all who then has become known worldwide. And she said, you know, she didn't really think this documentary was going to go anywhere. She said, oh yes, I'll do it, you know, and she just, you know, she was, you know, getting to meet new people and she thought it was fun, and she didn't realize, she said, that the whole world was going to know her, like, intimate details of her story.
I know.
But she said that was also her karma, to have everybody to be accountable now to the world. So she laughed about that. It's big. And it was funny because Claire had actually, from Rising Lotus, she had said, she was hosting and asking the questions, and she said, you know, it is actually easier when you get a diagnosis, a terminal diagnosis, to get to work. Urgency. You know, urgency, right? It's like, is this a life or death situation? You're either going to do this, and this protocol. But when it's not a life and death situation, we're really great at managing and coping with things. And
so are you saying Eva's is not life-threatening at this point?
At this point, but
it's super intense and gnarly.
Super intense and gnarly. But when she watched that scene, when she watches that scene now, she realizes in hindsight, you know, how intense that scene was for her. And she kind of goes back to that person that wasn't that long ago of like, wow, that was a really intense moment for me. This was the first time Eva had ever done any therapy, not just EFT with me, which, you know, God bless her, to then have no therapy of your life and of any, just putting it in your back pocket, because Eva's a tough cookie and she puts everything in her back pocket and she just musters
on through,
and she's really good at it, but she's hit a wall. And that scene was kind of like, you know, when you crack open the bottle of the fizz and and she had to take a break. She says she ran away, and then she came back before the premiere, and she thought she was going to come into the premiere in Santa Monica, and then she was like, oh no, still too many people. And so we're doing a lot over the holidays, and you know, there's been a lot of change in her life. So for me, it's about being able to take people through change while you're being a mother, and being a mother of 2 children, and you know, not having to have a breakdown. You know, you're able to look at things slowly, but still kind of have a normal existence. You know, it's when I went to Santa Fe, I met this beautiful woman who was a death doula. And she said that when she hears people, she helps people pass and sits with them like a doula. And she said that people have a lot of regrets. I think nurses say this as well. You know, people have regrets. They wish they had done this. They wish they had tried more. They wish they had.
Nobody says they wish they would have worked harder.
They wish they would have like loved more. They wish they would have went for their goals, their ideas, their creativity, or whatever it was. And she had said to me in the audience, she said, what I love is you get people to do that before the end. You get that to do that in their life, of rather than wait until you regret it, let's just do it and go through the fear. Because the only way through is through. You know, let's look at I was told that I'd never amount to anything. I was told that, you know, I don't deserve it, all of those things. Let's collapse all of that and see what you got inside there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know what it is until you start getting rid of all of those patterns and inherited beliefs and social beliefs and personal feelings and traumas that we get rid of, and then this emergence happens where something else blooms from you. But unless we take all the kind of rocks off the top of you, we sometimes don't see it.
I think that's so interesting, because in Kelly Turner's research with radical remissions, you know, all these people that she studied, 1,500 people, they were sent home to die, essentially. Get your affairs in order. Nothing else we can do. We're sorry. So they go home, and it's either like one of two things takes place. Either they're so radically committed and determined to say, no, my life is not over. I have this person to live for. I have my dreams to live for. It woke me up, and I'm not going to listen to you. They go out with that determination and commitment, and a shift happens, and they spontaneously heal based on, you know, what they're committed to changing in their life. Or they just radically surrender, and they just zero resistance. They're just like, you know what? This is my end of my life. I'm going to just do things that I love. I'm going to treat my body with reverence. I'm going to treat my kids and my family with just total love and reverence. I'm going to forget all the petty shit, and they just surrender everything. And that also creates the environment for a spontaneous healing. So it's like, I think surrender and commitment are, you know.
It's like forgiveness. They always say everything is really at the root of forgiveness. And sometimes it's forgiving yourself for not living. You know, I worked with someone years ago in the community who, you know, I wondered what it would be like to work with someone who really didn't want to do chemo. And he showed up a week later.
Oh, really? Of course.
Oh, yeah. But he knew that EFT worked. He knew that's what heal's about, right? He believed, because his sister had used it for her sclerodermy, which the skin hardens and you suffocate and you die. So he had seen it work for that. So he was okay, and he had colon cancer. So he came. So he said, "I can't go to my sister. I have to come to you because there's family stuff there." And he was amazing. Every week we would look at things, even things that he didn't even know was in there. And then they gave him 6 months to try out his woo-woo stuff, and he did it. And he said, "I'm going to go on a juice fast as well for 12 weeks."
Wow.
Whoa! You think there's nothing left in there to tap on? Wait till you take away food.
Wow.
When you take away food or anything to chew on, everything comes up.
Wow.
And I had him on a trampoline. I had him over at a horse in Burbank to get the lymphatic system going. He was going back out to the House of Blues to listen to bands. And he said he remembered the moment where he thought, who would care if I died? When he had his significant birthday. And he thought, 18 months later, when he got the diagnosis, I would care. I would care.
That's good.
Let's start with me.
Let's start there.
And that was it. He changed his whole life. And it was beautiful. So I think when we forget that we have to be compassionate towards ourselves, Reiki precept number 5, and others. Ourselves and others. Because sometimes that part of the equation is left out, and we're compassionate to everybody else, and we're last in the queue.
I think that's the key, really.
It's that balance between both.
We can only love others as much as we love ourselves, truly.
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 So it's, Beautiful. Admit there's something, even abundantly. If you're trying to get a project off the ground, or you're trying to do something in your life and it's not working, once you admit and say, you know, there's something not working here, what is it that I need to do differently or choose differently for it to change? And then just wait.
Yeah.
And see what shows up.
Yeah, I love it. It's once you realize that we are co-creators with life, everything is energy. We are going to attract, experience, and align with things that are matching our vibration.
Completely.
So it's our responsibility to take responsibility for how we're feeling and what we're thinking and what we believe is possible.
Yes.
And to continue to stretch those muscles of awareness and
completely.
And, you know, really believe in what's possible.
Yes.
And expanding that belief.
Definitely. Definitely.
So we're at the end of the show here. Thank you to all. David Six, I love all your comments. Sherry, Mary McManus, Vash. We just love everyone that's tuned in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Jelana, Jennifer. Anyways, we love that you guys are continuing to the conversation with us.
Yes.
And you know, right on the Heal page, if you have any other topics you want us to discuss in a future Facebook Live. And we wish you all wellness and tremendous joy. And all our Instagram Live people, woo! We love you guys. Be well, and try to have some fun tonight.
Yes.
Woo!
Bring some joy.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you, guys.